We continue highlighting freshman congressmen who are Catholic. Our Lauren Ashburn sat down with Representative Mike Gallagher, a Republican from Wisconsin, as part of our series.
Congressman Gallagher, welcome to our show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You are a Marine veteran, served in Iraq, have worked in counterterrorism, and have just been named to the House Armed Services Committee. What's on the top of your agenda as a new member of Congress?
Well, I think to your point and reflecting my committee assignments, keeping the country safe is the first and foremost function of the federal government. I'm honored to have been appointed on the Armed Services Committee, and I'm looking forward to diving into that effort. And to do that, we need to get it to the urgent task of rebuilding the military, modernizing it for the 21st century, taking care of our service members, securing the border, and finding a way to tackle all the threats that we've seen proliferating across the globe, particularly in the last 8 years. So that's an effort that I'm excited to be a part of.
Do you believe the Obama administration has done a good job?
No, I think it's been a complete foreign policy failure. And I just think of my own experience. I deployed to Iraq in 2007 and 2008. I was part of the surge, and I saw it work firsthand. We took a country that was in relative chaos and turned it into order. And I just saw that happen first time. And I just remember my Marines walking around without their helmets, passing out books and school supplies to kids who couldn't even walk to school a year before. That's how successful they were. And then we flushed all those hard-won gains down the drain. And I remember going back to Iraq in a civilian capacity about a year and a half ago or 2 years ago and seeing that town that I deployed to, that town I left 8 years ago, now under ISIS control. And that's devastating. And I think more broadly, we've seen the deterioration of our position around the world, not just in the Middle East, where Christians are being persecuted at historic levels, but also in Eastern Europe or in the South and East China Sea. And we can't let that go on any longer.
There have been a number of ISIS-inspired attacks on U.S. soil. What do you think needs to happen to prevent attacks by homegrown terrorists?
Well, first and foremost, we can't allow politics to get in the way of our understanding of the threat. I would argue that's what's happened over the last 8 years. We have a president who won't even utter the words radical Islamic terrorism. We had a Justice Department that was editing the transcripts of the attacks after Orlando to efface any reference to radical Islam. That's our federal government lying to us. That needs to stop. We need to understand what we're facing. The second thing we need to do is understand that all of these domestic attacks are inspired by the fact that we have allowed a terrorist safe haven to grow and grow in the heart of the Middle East. And the longer we allow ISIS to gain and maintain territory in the heart of the Middle East, the more it grows in the hearts and minds of young Muslims across the world. So we cannot just throw up our hands and do nothing. We have to tackle this problem with a sense of urgency, and we need a comprehensive strategy to protect ourselves, not only in the homeland, but also our interests abroad.
Let's move on to another issue. You're a defender of life. How do you plan to support pro-life legislation?
Well, first of all, I want to really draw attention and praise to the efforts of some great groups we have in Wisconsin, Pro-Life Wisconsin, Wisconsin Right to Life, two of the most effective groups in the country. And as a result, we've seen the number of abortions go down in Wisconsin in recent years. Here at the federal level, I think we can start with some simple common sense steps. First, no taxpayer money should go towards abortions. I would also say we need to tackle and fight against late-term abortions. And then, more broadly, I would hope we can get to promoting a culture of life. And I think something that people on both sides of the aisle might agree upon is how do we streamline the process for adoptions? How do we make it easier for people that want to raise a child in a loving environment to do just that?
As an adopted person myself, I wholeheartedly agree with you. Now, you come from a big Irish Catholic family. How will your faith guide your service?
Yes, ma'am. Well, my family, first and foremost, taught me a respect for the dignity of life, and indeed that's why I'm a conservative, because I believe in individual human dignity, and I believe we have natural rights that were given to us by God, not the government. I also learned from my family a respect for service. I believe we can honor God through service and sacrifice. That's why I joined the military. That's why I'm doing this right now, and I believe that anyone, whether you're a congressman or a Marine or a dairy farmer, can honor God just by sanctifying your daily work. And finally, I would just say my family taught me the value of humility. I'm reminded of one of my favorite Bible verses, Micah 6:8. What does the Lord require of you? To act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. And I hope all of us can have a bit more humility in the months and years ahead. And what have we seen in the last 8 years with the arrogance of the federal government, assuming more power to itself and robbing that power and authority from the states and the local levels? I think we need to get back to what I would call the Catholic doctrine of subsidiarity, where we allow decisions to be made at a lower level.
Well, humility is not a virtue that we see much in this town, so I can't help but agree with you there. Congressman Mike Gallagher, Republican from Wisconsin. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate it.